Lastly, we have submitted 2 applications for the land surrounding Ash Manor. The first was a detailed application for 95 homes on the front field. This is currently at appeal, which is scheduled for March. The second application was an outline application for up to 100 homes on the fields to the north. This has been refused by Guildford Council and we are currently considering our options. I would like to thank the Council and Councillors for providing us this opportunity to attend tonight's forum, and I hope this update has been useful. Thank you. That is our contact details, phone number, and also again the repeat of the website, and any queries or questions to info@ashlodgedrive.com. Thank you.
Can you please tell us why you feel that 4-bedroom properties aren't needed? Because there's quite a few 2 and 3 already, and they would like to move up to a bigger property. So if there isn't the 4-bedroom properties, they're going to go out of the area.
Well, there's 2 factors to that. One is our own market research, understanding the needs of the area and what is actually wanted by the market. But also, and more importantly, it's actually the council's own strategic housing market assessment. It's called the SHMAR. They undertake this to understand what type and size and mix of housing is required in the borough. And it's actually that study which indicates there's actually a greater demand and need for the smaller dwellings, that is the 1, 2, 3 bedroom properties. So what we've done is we've taken this into account, and our new proposals are far more in line with the council's own assessments.
Hello, my name is Dr. Lawrence. I was senior partner of the Board of Practice, which is actually the closest practice to this new development. But we weren't consulted, thank you very much. Now that wasn't just your oversight, that was an oversight of the Borough Council itself. But the point I'd really like to make at the moment is that we have real concerns regarding the availability of primary care, GP care, to all of the residents in this area. All of the surgeries as well working in capacity. And although you're talking about building a new healthcare facility, unfortunately you have to fill it. And there are not enough GPs to fill this practice at the moment. There are recruitment problems throughout Aldershot. There are 500 less GPs working now than there were 2.5 years ago, when we were getting out 5,000 more. And that mix is less skilled now than it was before because the more experienced people have left. There are less nurses, we all heard about that today. So
excuse me, I don't really want to butt in, but we're here to talk about the
I thought we were here to actually have some sort of sensible conversation.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but we can't talk about nurses and doctors. We can only talk about the development. We want to give everyone the opportunity to talk about the developments, not about the nurses and doctors.
It is part of the development. It's a very, very important part of the development.
Very short. I am a mere planner. I do not pretend to know the ins and outs of the NHS and the demands of our corridors. However, all I can say is that discussions with the doctors at Ashwell, they have no concerns about current recruitment. I'm not going to, that's all I can say. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on the NHS. You're more, I know, more knowledgeable than I am. All I can say is that is not for us and not our concern.
This was not directed.
I'm saying that I'm going to reserve the land on our site that can facilitate a new surgery, and it is the doctors at the Ashveld that are looking to provide that surgery because they believe that there is a need.
We will have the opportunity to sort of come back to this afterwards, but if we could sort of move on so that we keep it going. I'll just come out to this gentleman here.
Thank you. This is more to do with the number of houses now increasing because you're changing bedroom sizes and things.
Yeah.
You allow, I don't know how much it is, but sort of 1.5 cars per dwelling, or whatever it is, but can you tell me what you allow per household for the amount of parking you have to allow?
Yeah, on average, it's around, for the 2-bed houses and above, it's on average about 2 per dwelling. But all I can say is that the car parking requirements are in strict accordance with Guildford's own standards.
Right.
So it is, the houses will have around 2 per dwelling allocated parking spaces, the flats slightly lower.
So if you increase the number of houses, you now increase the number of parking places?
Well, it's in line with the council's standard.
Okay. And for the health centre that you've allowed the space, we live at the back of the Ashvale Health Centre and we can't get out to our road as it is.
Okay.
Have you got the parking for that health centre as well as the building for the health centre?
Yes, as I say, we are reserving the land. The exact details of the surgery will be a matter of a separate planning application, which again will need to show that they have got sufficient parking for the size of facility. So it will be a matter for planning, and it will be a matter that you can obviously comment on in due course. Well, there is comment control.
As I say, these are, I will go back to Madam, if I may go ahead. These are all things that we can continue to discuss afterwards. We just need to keep going.
Thank you. Just want to be clear that current plan, the one that's just been applied, the 492 houses, includes the land potentially for the doctor's surgery, not necessarily for the building, just the land. Mm-hmm. And is that land only available on the condition that you get approval for the extra 92 houses? Is it 92 and a surgery or none?
Well, actually, the current permission, so for the 400, and I'll just go back. The consented scheme actually does have reserved land for a doctor's surgery, which we were asked to provide at the time of the outline consent, and that was a total of 1,200 square metres. Now, actually, it was discussions with the doctors in order to help facilitate this surgery that actually it was discovered that the actual 1,200 square metres was not actually big enough for them to be interested in providing a surgery. The way the NHS, and this is my understanding, I'm not, as I say, a medical expert, but my understanding is the way the NHS works now, their requirements for surgeries is that they are sort of a more comprehensive surgery. So therefore, things like satellites, where you perhaps have like 2 doctors, is something that is no longer sort of claimant. They wanted an all-encompassing surgery. Now, it was actually discussions with the doctors where we realised that actually a surgery was not going to come forward on the land that we had under the 400 unit scheme. And yes, one of the benefits of the 492 is that we can provide a bigger piece of land in order to facilitate a doctor's surgery. So yes, you're right. If I don't get it, well, I mean, it's just part and parcel of the benefits that come along with an alternative scheme, is that the 492 home scheme will provide a larger piece of land. If planning is not successful and we come to the end of the line with that, then we will build out the 400. The 1,200 square metres will still remain reserved for a period of time, and something may come along. It's not that we're going to build over it. What we're saying is that actually what we've tried to do with this is facilitate actually seeing a doctor surgery. We're actively trying to encourage a doctor surgery to come forward.
Do you mind if I just add something for the benefit of people here? That piece of land, which is 0.66 or 67 acre, is exactly the same size as the Ashvale surgery, including the parking spaces behind, but not including parking on the road. Just idea of the scale.
Madam, if I could just say, right, The area of land that we've put forward, they're actually looking to provide an 1,800 square metre doctor's surgery. Their current facilities have between 300 and 350 square metres, so there will be a significant, it's not just a replacement. Their current facility is, I think, mainly one storey, whereas actually this will be a 3-storey building that can provide a larger facility. It's not merely a replacement.
Very good point. Replacement.
Yeah.
Okay? Not an extension, not a continuation, a replacement.
As I said, it's going from 312 square metres to 1,800 square metres.
And that means you have to have the car parking for the doctors and the staff, plus the addition. So you need to go much bigger.
If we could just move on.
I'm afraid it's the same subject. It is a replacement for what I understand, and the parking will be totally inadequate to deal with the extra housing that Bewley are planning to build in the area. But not only that, it's going to drive all the traffic that was going from north to the Ashbale Centre right the way down through into our area. So it actually makes the traffic situation even worse. Sorry, at the end of that, can I just have an assurance, I think really from GBC, that this will not be a replacement surgery, because it doesn't work from the logistics of traffic, it doesn't work from parking, it doesn't work for our area.
Any other questions?
And when you finish one there, you don't need
Yeah, just in terms of that question was directed at Guildford Borough Council. As Victoria mentioned earlier, this application doesn't include the provision of a surgery, it's allowing for a surgery. That application, if and when it comes in, will be subject to planning permission. And one of the things we'll be looking at is potentially what the use of the existing building becomes. But those are questions for later down the line. We have a proposal in front of us. It's too premature to comment on this stage.
At the moment, your development off Green Lane West, which is the old nursery, when will you be putting the actual Green Lane West back into operation? So at the moment, your road shows a bend, so you're making your bit of road, the Green Lane West, the side road. And at the moment, it floods down there because you pushed all the soil up and stopped the drainage. I mean, when you finish, are you going to do something about it, or you just clear the site?
No.
Which normally does happen.
Well, no. The proposals for mini nursery included the making up of that section of Ash Green Lane West, and that's what we're doing. So it's not a different road; it's the making up of an existing byway. It's a byway open to all traffic, and we've made it up. So we've started. We've had to stop at the moment whilst we sort out a condition. We are very much hoping to go back on very soon to deal with exactly your point, the drainage, and to reopen Ash Green Lane West to the public. But we can't at the moment because we haven't quite finished the works we need to do in order to be able to reopen it, and that's why it's remained shut. But we really want to get back on and actually fix the drainage, sort it out, and actually start delivering those units. Well, yeah, that's exactly the reason why. Well, we've extended it once. There's no need to extend it any further. We really want to just get on and do exactly what you say is to deal with the drainage down there.
The drainage goes half down Green Lane West to the pond. Also, it's very that's up there now. But if the pitch is alongside the school and all the development side, goes the other way towards all the building development, and you can going on. If we could
take that one, we can sort of discuss that further on. So I'm just I'd like to get as many questions as possible.
Just going back to the Ash Lodge site.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you've got 492 houses with a 2,000 square metre medical centre, could you not keep that medical centre the same size with 400 houses? Yeah, and also, if you've got that many houses, one or the other, you're going to have an awful lot of kids that need to be educated. I believe the schools around here are bulging at the seams already. So, what facility for that have you made? And also, what about shopping? Is there going to be any social centre in this building area? So that there's somewhere you just pop down to the shops. Because if they're using the main drag through Ash now, parking on the road to go to the 3 little shops that are there now, it's going to make it 10 times worse than it already is.
Okay, I'll try and remember all those questions. So the first one I will tackle is education. The 400 unit scheme is we have got a signed legal agreement which requires a contribution for both primary and secondary education.
Is that money?
Yes, that is. Well, actually, currently at the moment, it's actually facilities on Ash Manor School, and then a financial contribution for primary. So that's currently with the 400. So that's currently with the 400 units, and that is a committed and consented site. Well, it provides, all we can do is provide the required contributions that GBC asks for. That is what they ask for. It's not, we are not education providers. The education providers are the ones, it's the Surrey County Council that will deliver those school places with the money that we have provided. I can only do as much as that. I mean, I can't do anything more than that. So in terms of the 492 scheme, again, it will be subject to a legal agreement where we'll be required to make financial contributions for schooling. Okay, so
in this area. Right, thank you very much, Victoria. We've got 2 more questions and then we're going to have to move on to the third topic.
Okay, sorry. I think you said that you weren't planning to extend the motorised part of Ash Green Lane West. And I'm just wondering what kind of motorised access are you planning for the allotments, which are staged further down from Bewley Nursery development?
We're not.
You're not?
No. So it is access to the allotments on foot.
On foot?
On foot. There's no associated car parking with those allotments, and the access is via Ash Green Lane West on foot.
Oh, can I just ask another quickie on that particular Ash Lodge Ride application? Are you actually getting another archaeological survey now that you have changed the site? Not the site, sorry, but the plans for the site, because I keep on reading on the archaeological reports that they need to be consulted when the...
Okay, yeah, yes. So the 400 unit scheme, we did undertake trenching. I don't know whether you all remember that. It's definitely, I think it's still a Google Earth view, you can see them. So we did an archaeology report at the time, and obviously if there's any further archaeology that we need to do, that the council require us to do, then we will do it. Okay, then we'll be more than happy to do that.
And just one final question.
Thanks. When it comes to the closure of Ash Lodge Drive for the mains drainage, do you know whether that also coincides with the start of roadworks for the roundabout?
Roundabout?
Yes.
Not quite. I believe, I did actually ask this question to my surveyors earlier today, and they're still waiting for an official date in which to do that. It's hopeful that we will start that in February. But I'm afraid I can come back to you on that once I have, and obviously we will keep ASHRA fully updated on those works. Okay.
Well, thank you very much, Victoria, for fielding all those questions of your presentation. As I say, ladies and gents, we're going to have the opportunity, once the last half done, that we will be able to sort of like have a continued discussion for a short period. But as we've said all the way through this, if this is something and these issues are of interest to you, let us know if we will give a dedicated meeting just to this. It's that important to all of us. But I'd like to now, if I may, hand over to Paul Sherman, who's going to give us a short presentation regarding GBC development management, and there will be an opportunity to ask additional questions after that.
Thank you, Nigel. My name is Paul Sherman. I'm the major planning applications team lead for Guildford Borough Council, and most of the large scale housing applications come through my team. I've got a bit of a cold, so I apologise if I croak while I improve this. What I've been asked to do is go through what applications we've had on the books over the last few years and where they are in the current system. I can't go into too much in the details of all of the specifics. What I've tried to do is focus on what we have on the books at the moment, and then you can be commenting on them, so you're aware of where various sites are going. So this slide shows the blue outline of A29, and the green blobs you have there are the applications that have currently got either full consent or outline consent. The largest of them, this click is not going to work, hopefully that red dot can be seen, is the Ashland Drive site that we've heard about, 400 scheme. The site to the north, land south of Guildford Road for 154 houses, and then various other bits around land south of the Ashland Drive site. Green is approved, either full or outline consent. Warren Farm in Ash Green, and then one site down in Tongham, which is land at Grange Road. There are some smaller sites which aren't on this map, which aren't major schemes, which I can't show you. But I think what is worth noting for this slide is the number of schemes have been allowed to appeal. I think we've gone 1 out of 5 of our major appeals, and land south of Ash Green and Tongham, and it just shows how committed the government is to trying to deliver housing, and how high the bar is sometimes for local planning authorities, where they're trying to resist development. This scheme shows the applications that have been refused and aren't currently subject to any further actions with the council. So we have a scheme on Foreman Road, the land north of Ash Manor, which we heard about earlier, and a site outside of the allocation site, that's called Shortlands Farm. That's an outline application in the greenbelt rather than the countryside, for 300 houses. We refused that August, September last year, I believe. Those are refused, they're not currently subject to any further actions. And this slide shows the applications that we have on our books or current appeals. So we have a site in Tongham, off Grange Road, that we go to planning committee at the end of the month for 50 houses, I believe that one is. We have a current application, what's known as Streamside, next to the 154 application I mentioned earlier. And we have a current application on Grange Road and Foreman Road, again for other than 60 units. And then the other sites on there in the yellow blobs are the appeals that we're currently dealing with, and they're all at various stages of the appeal process. We have Ash Manor, right down in the south of the application. That was subject to a public inquiry in November, and we're expecting the decision any day now. It should be before the 1st of February. So we're waiting to see what that inspector has to say. We have a new appeal just received for land north of Boyle Road. It's 150 units. Again, that's outside the allocation, but it's a current appeal that we'll be dealing with. We don't have any information on the start date of the appeal process that we'll follow at the moment, but we'll update residents when we do. And the appeal at land south of Ash Manor, which Victoria mentioned. And that, in short, is a whistle-stop tour of where we are with various applications. So I think we can all note the number of applications that have been approved in the area in the last 5 years, mostly with the introduction of the MPPF assumptions, so in favour of sustainable development. And worth noting that at the moment, very few units have actually been delivered. And we've had a site called the Croft that's been delivered, and as Victoria said, they're on site in Ashland Drive at the moment. In terms of what we're doing, we're awaiting the appeal decision on Manor Farm, preparing for an appeal on the Ash Manor site. And then we're going to be working up the applications for Ash Lodge Drive, the new application for the 400 scheme site, the Grange Road and Stream side. And in particular, Ash Lodge Drive and Stream side are very new applications, so we still have a consultation on those. All the details are on our website, and I encourage everyone to have a look at them and write to us with your views, and we can take them into account when we're writing our reports and making recommendations to the planning committee.
Are you going to give us any free space? Are you going to give us Are you actually going to give us any green space? Is there places we can walk?
So, one part of the Ash Lodge Drive site includes all of this area here. I think it's about 24 hectares, 2.5 kilometre circular walk through countryside be retained open in perpetuity. I can't today get into the debate about what you think of Sanks and whether they're appropriate countryside or not, but it's green open space to live as part of these developments.
I'd just like to ask a question of interest. If any local residents wish to object to any planning applications, and they can do so either by letter or email, are they then all published on the website of the planning application?
Yes, they will be, yes.
Can you tell who they are? Because what are?
I haven't got the details here. If you're concerned that you've written into the council and we haven't published them, you can email planning inquiries with the data that you wrote to us and the reference on the application, and we'll look for them. And they certainly are recorded. Objections is not numbers game for planning, it's what material planning conditions are raised. So if one person raises a very particularly good planning point, that carry more weight than 100 people raising things that aren't relevant to planning. So it's not a...
if I be punchy shortly, this lady...
Hello, I think you've missed out on one of the applications. There's one currently going on, which hasn't been approved or anything yet, but on Ash Lodge Close, which is obviously going to bring even more traffic through from Ash Lodge Drive.
Yeah, apologies, that probably isn't on that map. This was something I was working on a couple of weeks ago, and probably not quite up to date. So, yeah, it's to Ash Lodge Close, I can't quite see it, but it's at 11 houses or something like that. All the applications are registered on the website, so as I say, I'm trying to give you an overview of some of the larger sites we've got in. And I can say it's not an exhaustive list.
No, you said you consider whether comment is a good one or a bad one. Who decides whether it's good or bad? Who's qualified to decide if the public or not?
Well, it is a material planning consideration. So things that are commonly raised, property values, not a material planning consideration, overshadowing, overbearing my garden, planning consideration. There's quite a defined list.
Just going back a bit, there was emphasis put on the hazard of the railway crossing. Do you consider the railway crossing a bigger hazard than Ash Street at school time and other times?
I'm not a highway engineer, so what our role as planners is to consider all the comments we get from residents, statutory third parties, assess that against planning policy. In terms of highway safety, whether it's a danger or it's a severe impact, we will go and consult the county council with the highway authority and we'll take their advice. I'm not qualified to make a judgment on highway safety.
I would say, again, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to things, as Paul Warren rightly said, he's not the expert, but again, as Zach mentioned earlier, that we do have somebody that's qualified to actually answer these questions on the 8th of February. So please do come along and sort of like take part in that, because we can raise all of these questions.
There's a lot of detail, but nowhere have you mentioned the problems on the roads on our street. Nowhere. And there's no proposal of building another road, but there's a proposal to build a bridge over the railway.
think you're probably straying back into Zap's territory here a bit. I think I'd advise if you go along to the consultations, and if there's other hotspots you want us to look at, then if you report those to Zap's team, and the county council. But yeah, I'm not really qualified, so I can't really say. Yeah, and so as Zap advised the county council present there as well, so if you've got concerns about things that they are or are not objecting to, then you can raise them at those meetings.
Paul, it's me again. So, I know we're going to have this other meeting to discuss the local plan, but all of this development is built on clay soil that's 100 metres deep, and it floods, and everybody around here knows it floods. And every planning application that goes in goes to Surrey, not to Guildford, for the SUDS evaluation. And invariably, they pass the thing with a load of conditions. But the application comes with a hypothesis, not a tested method of draining the soil. It comes with a hypothesis that may or may not work. And if it doesn't work, you have as many conditions as you like, you're never going to make it work. And because the council doesn't adopt the roads inside the estate, you'll then end up in a situation with a bunch of people moving into an estate responsible for managing the drainage, not only on their new estate, but also around on the houses around that. So it's almost like the council's washing their hands of the drainage problem, and the developers wash their hands of the drainage problem the moment they sell the houses.
A couple of points which I'll try to respond. So I think since 2015, Surrey County Council has been the local flood authority. So they're a statutory consultee for surface water drainage. Schemes that came in prior to that, it was either down to the Environment Agency for major schemes or the Borough Council. So if they use Ashland's Drive 400 scheme as an example, that came in with a fairly detailed, or extremely detailed, hydraulic model and a surface water management plan.
Model. You use the word model, not actually working system. It's a model.
Well, if it's not clear, we can't review it, can we? So, but well, I'm sure I can find you a drainage engineer at some point, and we can talk to you about various sites up and down the country where some of these principles have been established. We instructed a drainage company called McDonald, who are an international multidisciplinary, to review all the information on Ashland's Drive in particular, as well as our own engineers. So the council certainly didn't wash its hands of it, and the council went above and beyond what a lot of councils would have done.
What they have now, I said they will in the future, they don't adopt the road, so it's the responsibility for people to live on the site once the house is built. I said in the future they want that.
Well, again, it's not us washing our hands of it. It's passing the relevant information to the statutory consultee. No more can we...
So you're the part that, sorry washing their hands of it. What we're saying is we need to see drainage people actually coming down here, analysing it, not just saying we're doing a best space study, actually show up and look at what's happening now before you pass any further development.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can spend too much more time defending the role of Surrey County Council. But what I would say, just very quickly, it might be a desk-based assessment, but it's always based on site-specific information, so there will usually be a geotechnical report identifying soil conditions. So it's not them in their ivory towers in Kingston not knowing the local conditions.
If we could move on. So
what are you doing about the bollards in Ashland's Drive? Are they coming down or are they staying there?
They're part of the adopted highway as far as I'm aware, so we don't have any influence over them other than potentially Jordan Councillor Furness, who's a Surrey County Councillor. But I'm not aware of any proposals to remove those bollards.
It appears that there's an awful lot of development in what appears to be a very small area of our borough. I'd be very interested to know, do you have any idea of what percentage of houses are actually being concentrated in this small area as opposed to the entirety of the borough?
Sorry, I couldn't see that. No, I don't. Our local plan includes the details of all the housing we're allocating for development, and you could go through as well.
Right, Ashton and Ash Green is the second largest development area outside of Guildford town urban area, and it's for 1,860 houses in the local plan. We make up 5% of the total area of Guildford Borough, and we're going to be taking 38% of all of the houses outside of Guildford urban area.
So I think, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but these are local plan considerations. A29 is a proposed allocation. There are going to be hearings into the local plan, and everyone will come along to the hearings and have their say.
I think, as Paul's quite rightly said, I know that this is something that's important to all of us, myself included, but what we're trying to do is just concentrate on the development. At this stage, we can discuss this. We do have an opportunity afterwards, but if we could just move on.
I think we all feel we're not really being listened to. Is there anything that we could actually say to you or do to stop development where it is? The traffic is already a disaster out there. The safety considerations we all are very aware of. We plan our journey from home according to the time of day, knowing that sometimes we can't get out because of the traffic. That's before these houses are built. And sorry, if I can just say, is there anything that is going to stop the extra houses in Ashlodge Drive, or is that just something else we've got to accept?
Well, I'll cut the Ashlodge Drive. That's a brand new planning application, so we'll consider that in the round. In terms of what residents can do to stop development, I think we all live in a situation here where the government is pressing for housing considerably, particularly as Tracy said earlier, where you don't have 5 years supply of housing. If you look at take highways for example, if you look at the government guidance on when you can object to development on a highway, you have to be able to show there's a severe impact, not an impact. So the government's been very clear in that particular bit of policy. It's prepared for development to impact on traffic and highways, but then it should still take. Well, severe usually means dangerous, it's extremely dangerous.
If we could, as I say, these are points that we can touch on again.
Hi, we are where we are because of the lack of a local plan since 2003. And we understand, I think, the pressure from central government with the NPPF. But GBC and Bewley Homes, you have an opportunity here to pick up and to provide us a plan on the rest of the allocated land that deals with infrastructure, that deals with roads, and provides us with a better area to live in. You have that opportunity. You are responsible to us to provide that opportunity, and we will hold you accountable for that.
That again goes back to what Zach talked to us about at the very beginning of the evening. We are looking to deliver the bridge, working with landowners to try and deliver these sites in a comprehensive way. It's in nobody's interest for these sites to continue to come forward in a slightly piecemeal fashion. We want them to link together so people can move through the area and create a better place. That's what we're working to do.
About the schools and the healthcare, that really hasn't been taken into consideration. All that fast roads, most of it, but still no schools and no healthcare vision built in, because according to Bewley, they're working to the letter of the law, if you like, but that doesn't really accommodate things that we want if you're going to make best live in a place and more urbanise them.
Yeah, so a vast majority of those sites on that screen will have contributed to the provision of additional education. We're not the education authority at Surrey County Council. Surrey County Council put plans together to expand the schools. The 400 scheme site at Bewley, for example, include either the provision of money or the provision of additional buildings at that site. Various other sites are not small enough to build additional platforms entry for schools, but the council pulled them together to create additional capacity. Council are required to justify when they come to us asking for a contribution how they're going to use that money to expand capacity and not just necessarily redecorate or something. It's got to be new capacity. It will take time to come on the stream, but it's the county council have a statutory obligation to provide these school places for the needs of the population, and we're taking money through development to do that.
Okay, and just one last question for this section.
Hello, my name's Val O'Day, and you may have remembered me when I spoke at the council regarding the objection to the Warren Farm development, because that impacted me in Ash Green as a flood victim. You built the bund, and I think some people are trying to suggest that that will hold back water further downstream, and I'm interested to know a little bit more about that. The other thing I learned about is this sustained underground drainage system, which is being put into a lot of the developments, will be put into development, which is fair enough. It's tried and tested from an engineering point of view throughout the country. That's fine, but the point Sue was raising earlier, I just wanted to add to that. I would like to know whether there's any human resource allocation within Guildford Borough Council's engineering division now, who will police, if that's the right word, or check that the subsystems are not silting up and therefore adding to drainage problems. I don't know if that's an appropriate question for now, but it's certainly one as a flood victim that I'm interested to know the answer to, because I know you've had to have cutbacks in the engineering department.
I do my best, but I can't answer all of that, particularly the bund. I don't have information on that today. In terms of silting up and maintaining the subs features on site, developers are required to submit to us a management schedule for how they're going to be maintained. That's secured by condition. And if it's not maintained according to that schedule, then we do have enforcement powers to pursue that. We can also, I believe, and caveat this with our drainage engineer, we do have some powers on land drainage act to intervening problems. But I'm not a drainage engineer, and I can't really give too much more detail on that.
We need to check that the developers are doing it, that's the point.
Yes, and the conditions, I have to say, in respect to drainage these days are much better. With Surrey County Council's lead flood authorities, we also have things like verification reports are required to be submitted when the development is complete. It's signed off by a suitably qualified engineer that confirms that what was agreed to be installed has been installed in accordance with its specification.
I think on this one point, I think all of us here feel, I find it incredible that the committee can sit down in the room and do all the tell please, you can allow development of this size in an area this small. If the development is spread about the borough, don't have that lady's point about percentages. I do find it incredible. I'm just assuming that the council is protecting the area and we just ended up with the dining ground. Yeah.
So if I can just sum up, I think just picking up on this last comment that was made here, one of the comments that Paul made at the beginning, that's the amount of applications here that have actually been won on appeal. When it means that they've been won on appeal, it means that the actual local authority refused the application, and it went to the planning inspectorate, and we've actually spent, and we do spend every year, a phenomenal amount of money in defending appeals. And we are left with a situation when the planning inspectorate has decided to turn over our recommendation, with a situation where we have to do the best with the situation that we have. Paula, could you just mention again the amount of applications that we turned over?
Yeah, so the bottom 5 on that screen were allowed an appeal. I think most of them since about 2014. So it's not half the units, but it's about half the applications we've had. We've lost an appeal when we subsequently tried to refuse it. Yeah, I didn't advise my
I also would say to you is, going back to the comments that I made, that we don't have a 5-year land supply, and we don't have a local plan that's up to date. I've only been here for a very short period of time, and the issue is that maybe you should ask the politicians why we don't have a local plan since 2003, I don't know. But the issue is we don't, and we are where we are, and that is the situation.
Of the development of 5% of the land. That is wrong.
Right, we have some very large urban extensions in the other area of land. And I think that one of the reasons why so much development has come here, and that is because it's 89% greenbelt in Guildford, and developers have seen the opportunity here because obviously they can't build on the greenbelt. And that's one of the reasons why it's been kind of somewhere that developers would look to come to, because there isn't the greenbelt here, that there is in other parts of the borough, which is 89%. What I would say is that I want to thank you for coming here tonight to talk to us, and I do really appreciate that there are lots of issues that you would like to be answered and to be considered and to be thought about, and I do really appreciate that this has a massive impact on your lives, and the uncertainty about more things coming and not understanding. And I don't want you to go away this evening and think that we've just fobbed you off with 1.5 hours and we've given you an overview. This is, well, can I just finish what I'm saying? Can you give me the opportunity to be able to speak? And what I would like to do is, what we have done is given you the overview, because then we can take away now and through the parish councillors and through the ward councillors the specific issues that you would like to talk about. And I'm picking up, you want to talk about the highways issues, and what I would like to do is get highways guys down from Surrey County Council and have them here so they can answer your questions. I would like to get the drainage guys down here so they can come and they can answer your questions. And if we need to, then I'm sure Bewley would be more than welcome to send their drainage guys to answer your questions. But what I need to know is I need to understand the topics that we need to talk about. And the reason that I've given you an overview tonight is so you can understand where we are, and then what you want to talk about in moving forward. And this is the beginning, it isn't the end. This is something that I want to have in an open dialogue with you, and if it's then breaking it down into smaller groups where you have representatives talking about things, I'm more than happy to do that. And I want to work with you in moving forward. My officers want to work with you, and I'm not going to stand here and say that, you know, I can make everything wonderful, because I can't. But what I can do is I will promise you that I will do my best to answer your questions in the best way that I can, and to try to look at your issues and try to resolve what I can and work with you on the things that I can. Now, you can phone me, you can email me, you can phone me. If you want to come in and see me, you can come in and see me. My door is open and I am happy to do that. But this is a beginning, and I do want to get the people here that you do want to see, and we do want to move forward, and we do want to include you in the things that we want to do moving forward. And I am really, really pleased that so many people have come tonight, and and I thank you very much for your time, and I hope that we can all work closer together. And I hope, and I have been doing this a very long time. I actually worked on the Old Shut Urban Extension back in 2006. I've delivered Arborfield, lots of very big development areas, starting off with exactly the same issues. We can't do everything, we can't get everything right, but what I really, really hope is that we can get more things right than we get them wrong. And I want to work with you and able to do that. So thank you for coming tonight. And as Nigel said, if you can filter things through him, we get some more dates in the diaries, and maybe what we could do is start to have some groups where we can get some focused things talking about, so we can talk about things in more depth, because it's very difficult to talk in depth in very large groups. So thank you.
If I may, because
for us as a community. I'd like to thank Tracy for that, and also to Brian Hughes for coming on. Let's not forget, they're doing this in their own time.